Hi, Pierre speaking. Welcome to this short introduction to the Apis application. Apis is built on EBX Master Data Management tool and allows for managing information involved during the whole life cycle of any software or appliance. Apis brings an unified repository to author and govern all information related to requirement, test management, and request over time. In this video, I will show you the test-driven part of Apis. To get further information on what Apis can offer, please contact us to get the Apis user guide. This user guide defines concept and vocabulary used by Apis. Applied to the test-driving domain, the following terms must be introduced. Campaign definition is defined through a set of well-ordered test scenario and test step. A scenario is defined through a set of well-ordered steps. It allows for checking if a requirement or use case of the system to be tested is partially or fully satisfied. Step is the most fine-grained level of test concept. It defines an atomic operation that has to be achieved by the system to be tested. Test data is the actual test data value used as input and output. These are records stemming from tables located in the EBX repository. Campaign execution is applied to a campaign definition. It defines on which product and version a test campaign is achieved. A test report provides status of test execution at the level of a test scenario within a campaign execution. And detailed test result provides status of test at the level of step within a scenario and campaign execution. So now let me show you a quick presentation of Apis in live. In the left of the screen you can see that Apis is divided into a set of data domain. The first one is named test-driven. This is the topic of my presentation. In other version of Apis we also have the requirement-driven and the request-driven part. For the test-driven we have four sub-data domain. The first one, test configuration, allows for defining all information related to a campaign definition. It means the different scenario and different step within this campaign definition. The test data domain is used to collect all input and output data we want to use in order to execute test. And the test execution is where we find the different campaign execution that are related to a campaign definition. And for each campaign execution, we can collect outcome of test at the level of each scenario. This is the test report. And at the level of the fine-grained execution, I mean the level of the step. It is what we name detailed test result. We also have some reference data that are easy to understand, in particular reference data to qualify the scenario and the step within different type or category, and also some mechanisms to have classification of information we manage, for example topic applied to the step. So now let me show you a little bit the test configuration data domain. This data domain allows for defining all information related to a campaign definition. Campaign definition is quite easy to define. This is a code definition, some reference to a data space and a data set within EBX repository where Apis can find all input and output data we want to use for testing the system. And more importantly, within this test configuration data domain, we also have scenario and step description. Because as we already said, a campaign definition is structured through a set of scenario, and each scenario is divided into a set of steps. More importantly, when you select a campaign definition, you access to a set of added value services, allowing, for example, to automatically create and update input and output data applied to each step within the related campaign definition. It means that, for example, automatically Apis we create by default one input record and one output record for each step. After that, the tester user can enrich this description by selecting exactly which records you want to use as input and as output. Obviously, the output record is used to check if the outcome of the test execution is compliant with the requirement or not. We can also, from a campaign definition, create one-to-many campaign execution. In this situation, Appice will automatically prepare all the data architecture, allowing test user to collect outcomes applied to step and scenario for this campaign execution. We can obviously create one-to-many campaign execution for one campaign definition. We can also duplicate campaign definition so that we can manage on parallel different versions of the campaign definition and allowing for changing scenario step from one campaign to another. And we also can delete or archive all information. Just let me show you a main data hierarchy view, allowing you to understand how to govern and to manage test data. For example, for the campaign named usual test, you can see a set of scenarios that are defined with a well-ordered, and for each scenario we have a set of steps. Then, for example, regarding the scenario create employee table, which is manually scenario, we have to execute 4 steps: create employee table, create fields, create primary key, create foreign key. As you can guess here, Appice is used to test a master data management repository. Actually, we use Appice for testing EBX, but depending on your software or your appliance you have to test, you will have here your own definition of scenario and step. A scenario is defined in a very easy way by a code, a short description, an objective, and a set of reference data such as its type and also its initial database. It means the database that the scenario must use to be executed. A step is defined through some easy to understand data such as a code, a short description, an objective. In this tabular view, we can directly have a look at the list of the scenario using this step. In this situation, we have only one scenario. And we also have a classification scheme, because as we can build many steps for test repository, it is better to have a mechanism to classify the step. This is the concept of topic, allowing for example, querying the repository to get only steps that are related to a certain topic. Thanks to the MDM EBX, we can manage this data hierarchy from scenario to step and campaign definition very easily. For example, we can move up or move down a step to change the order. For example, I can move up this step and then automatically get the right new ordering. More importantly, we also have a set of added value to query and report the repository. For example, if we are interested by querying only scenario and step related to the concept of employee, we can use these features and automatically obtain an updated view with only campaign, scenario and step that are related to the concept of employee. About the test data domain, we use this data domain to collect all input and output data related to a campaign execution. Let me show you the main data view. For example, for the campaign usual test, for the scenario Number 2, we have a different step. And we can see that for the step create permission for users, we have two values for input and output. Input employee free, it means that within the table employee, we want to use the record number 3. We can adapt what table and what primary key applied to record we want to use depending on the system we want to test. What is more important to understand is that the list of the table we can use here and the list of the record that are linked to this table are information stored within EBX repository. It means that within EBX repository, within the APIS repository, we have both the definition of test campaign, the execution of test campaign, and also the dataset values, I mean the business values and technical values that are used as input information and as output information to check if the execution of the test is compliant with the requirement or not. We can use all the different mechanisms of the MDM to query and to organize all this information. And once the test configuration is ready and the test data is set, times has come to manage test execution. Test execution data domain allows for creating campaign execution by campaign definition, as we said before. And for each campaign execution, we can collect all outcome of test, apply to the level of the step and apply to the level of the scenario. Let me show you the main data view. For a campaign execution, we have for each scenario that are executed a set of information indicating who is the user or the system responsible for the test and what are outcomes. For example, in this situation of the scenario, create a new data model successful and create permission. The status of this scenario is okay, it means that the test was successful. And to get a deeper view, you can see that the step create data model name is okay, and the step create permission for users is okay. Now we can change the value of the outcome. For example, we can switch the first step create data model name from OK to cow. And in this situation, automatically APIS update the status of the scenario. It means that since at least one step is inferior within the scenario, it means that the scenario at the wall is also inferior. So we have within APIS a set of business rules that are described within the user APIS guide, allowing to understand how we manage the result or the outcome of the test execution at the level of the step, on the level of the scenario. We have at least 3 different status: valid, failure, or not applicable, OK cow or not applicable, and also we can ignore step, and we also can ignore scenario depending on what we want to collect in terms of outcomes. We can also see that some scenario can be executed more than one time within a campaign execution. For example, you can see that this scenario is attached to a run ID number 1, but we can with such some service within APIS ask for executing it one more time. We can do that at the level of the test scenario. Let me show you how to do that. You can take for example, this scenario, and you can, with this service, create new ID, ask for a new execution of this scenario. So I launch this service, and you can see now that for the scenario 1, we have a new run ID number 2, allowing for collecting a new set of outcomes. And of course, if we have a look at the detailed test result for our campaign, for the scenario, we can see now that we have no only one scenario execution, but two scenario execution, run ID 1 and run ID 2, and we can set different outcome. For example, I can decide that this step here is not applicable. It means that for a first execution of this scenario, we have a certain outcome. On a second execution of the same scenario for the same campaign execution allows for collecting other results. Before ending this presentation of Appice in live, I would like to show you quickly the list of key services or business rules Appice offer to the user. This description of services is available in the Appice user guide. From a campaign definition, Appice allows for creating and updating input and output data. Of course, we can, from a campaign definition, create one-to-many campaign execution. We also can duplicate the campaign definition, and we can delete campaign definition. This is not a roof delete operation, because all integrity constraints are fully enforced, so that, for example, we cannot remove directly a campaign definition if there is at least one campaign execution in the repository. Apply to scenario, we can delete scenario. As I said, each time you see delete service, it means that this is a business deletion. This is not a roof deletion at the level of the database. A set of integrity constraints are fully enforced to guarantee the quality of the repository. But we also can, from scenario, also create and update automatically input and output context. From a step, we can delete step. From input and output context, we can add input data. It means that we will add a record as an input value applied to a step. Same thing applied to an output data, and we can also delete record. At the level of campaign execution, we can align this campaign execution with new scenario that has been created in the underlying campaign definition. It means that from the moment where we create a campaign execution from a campaign definition and the current time, maybe some new scenario or new step has been added or deleted within this campaign definition, and we will like to take into account this modification in the campaign execution that is under execution. We can delete record of campaign execution. As I said, a set of very important integrity constraints are enforced to be sure that we never delete a campaign execution that is not fully ended. To collect outcome, we have the concept of test report. It means the outcome applied at the level of a scenario. We can automatically set all steps within the scenario to a value that is OK. We can relaunch the execution of the scenario to have a new run ID so that within the test report we can collect outcomes many times for a same scenario. We can ignore a scenario. And at the level of the detailed test result, it means at the level of the step outcome, we can switch the step to a different value, OK, KO, not applicable, and we also can ignore step. So you will find in this user guide a lot of information related to how to use Appice. For example, the regular use cases, how to manage tests in 3 stages, define test campaign, define test data, create and collected outcome. Create new campaign definition, create new scenario, create new step, add an existing scenario to a campaign definition, ordering scenario within a campaign definition, add an existing step to the scenario, ordering step within the scenario, add input-output data for step, create a campaign execution, test status change, on a set of additional use cases that are important to master, such as delayed campaign definition, duplicate campaign definition, delayed campaign execution, attach a new scenario to an executed campaign definition, delete a scenario, delete a step, delete step input-output context, skip executed scenario in an existing campaign execution, skip executed step in an existing campaign execution. You will also find a set of additional information related to permission management and to the administration of the Appice system. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to contact me by email or Skype, and to contact orchestralnetworks.com if you want to use this Appice application. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.